So last year in April, I lost my baby. I was 15 weeks and 6 days along when I found out I had lost our baby girl. And because of the state that I live in, I couldn't go and get a D&C. My OB explained I could either go out of state and get a D&C, or I could deliver in the hospital locally. I have 4 small children. Obviously, I've talked about them several times here. And so I didn't think I could leave the state, especially with one of my children being disabled. It wasn't feasible. So I agreed to be induced in a hospital. And I have debated telling anybody about it because in a lot of ways I'm still really grieving. And this was a baby I really wanted, and she was a full person to me. But I think it's also really important to talk about it. I was induced, and when we got to the hospital, I asked for an epidural because I didn't want to feel any pain, because I was already grieving so hard, and everything was happening so fast. Like, that day I had gotten ready, and we were going to find out what we were having. We were going to our gender reveal ultrasound, and unfortunately that's where the tech ended up telling me that she no longer had a heartbeat. So I found out she was a girl on the same day that I lost her. And so I asked for that epidural. It didn't work, so I had to get another one. This whole time I'm just absolutely sobbing. I'm not coping well because I wasn't prepared to give birth this soon, and it hurt, and it felt a lot more like labor than I thought it was going to feel like. And so the second epidural only numbed one side of my body, so I still felt contractions. I felt the urge to push. It did not hurt to push her out because she was so small. But when I delivered her, the nurse was the only one there who delivered. When I delivered, my OB hadn't come yet, and she handed me my baby. And I so wish I had bothered to do a little research, but I was just so upset that day leading up to the induction that I never thought to do it. But I didn't know what a baby was going to look like that early. And she didn't match my grief, if that makes sense. She didn't match what in my heart I felt like I'd lost. She didn't match what in my head it felt like I'd lost. It didn't match what I did lose. Because in my head, in my heart, it feels like I lost a whole baby. But she didn't look like that. She had her hands and her feet all looked normal. They were so tiny, but she had all 10 fingers and all 10 toes, and we were able to get some prints of those, which I've learned is actually really incredibly rare. We have to thank our nurse for working so hard to get those prints. Usually their hands and feet are so delicate. They're so delicate at that stage that it's just really hard to get good prints. But we were able to get prints. But the rest of her didn't look completely like a baby, I guess you would say. And it was really hard for me to cope with. And then immediately after having her, I hemorrhaged, and I was taken to the OR for that D&C that I could not get when I was still pregnant with her, despite the fact she had already passed. And I know that D&Cs sound horrible, but losing a baby is horrible. The whole thing is horrible. And in some ways, I'm really glad that I got induced because I was able to hold her and get those prints, which wouldn't have been possible if I got a D&C. But at the same time, having seen her made it so hard. Like, in the hospital that I delivered her in, they give all lost parents this box of keepsakes. Ours has her prints and a blanket and a doll that she was laid on and some photos of her. I've opened this box maybe 3 times, maybe 4 in the last year. I find it really hard to do. At first, this was all I had of her when I came home, so I had it open, but I closed it after I got her urn back with her ashes, and I don't like to open it anymore because her photos, seeing her again, it doesn't match what in my head she looked like. It doesn't match any of that, and it is just so hard. And I don't know if other parents who have lost a baby that early feel the same way, if they saw their baby and they had a hard time coping with that. But I have had such a hard time with it. And I wish people knew how hard it is to go through this and then find out there's laws keeping you from even getting some slight comfort. And it's been really hard. And I wasn't sure I wanted to share this story. I wasn't sure if I wanted her to be attached to something like Roe v. Wade when she was a baby that was so wanted, but that was a law that would have helped a parent like me. And I know everybody thinks that there's like loopholes for people like me who've gone through this, but there wasn't a loophole. There's not a loophole for a lot of other parents. And I saw another story pretty similar to mine today, and it made me feel like I should share what happened to us, because I don't want it to happen to someone else. I feel like everybody should have that choice, because it is such a hard thing to go through. And here I am a year later, and I'm still struggling so much, and some of it is because I saw her. And it feels so awful to say that, but I don't know how better to explain it. I feel like in some ways it's something that you have to have gone through to understand. But I'm doing my best to explain it and hopefully get more people to understand what it looks like to not be able to get a DNC or to get, the care you need.